got some student loans, they sent me away to the land of the dead where I didn't know a word that they said. I got shot at a lot, I was nearly toast, but it's the ones I killed that hurts the most. Most of the time I didn't know what was going on. The rest of the time I knew there was something going wrong. Every reason we were there turned out to be a lie. I thought of that each time I saw another person die. I was supposed to stay a year. They sent me for 4. By the time I got back home, no one knew me anymore. Of the man I once was, there didn't seem to be a trace. And when I looked me in the mirror, I didn't recognize my face. I wasn't home too long before the time that I took ill. It was like the air was thick as mud, and I ached enough to kill. I didn't know I'd been fighting in a nuclear war. The evil was in my blood, and I was knocking on death's door. I can't tell you how it felt to be betrayed at every turn. Like earth is spinning backwards, like my heart began to burn, like I had to do something while I still had the strength to stand, while I still could run with a machine gun in my hand.
We're here today with the War Resisters Support Campaign because we want to encourage and motivate you and anyone you know, your neighbors, your colleagues, to contact your members of parliament to support war resisters. This is a really key time for the campaign. In December, the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration in the Canadian Parliament passed a motion that encouraged the government to develop a program that would allow all conscientious objectors to be able to apply for status in Canada. In particular, we're working with American soldiers who are refusing in Iraq. So this is a national day where we've had rallies across the country. My name is Sarah Bjorkness. I'm with the campaign here in Vancouver. We have a couple of speakers here to enlighten you on the situation. And in particular, first, I would like to call on Bill Siksay, Member of Parliament for Burnaby-Douglas and a great friend of this campaign.
Thank you, Sarah. It's great to be here this afternoon to stand in solidarity with the War Resisters Support Campaign and with American war resisters here in Canada. And I want to bring a message from other New Democrat MPs who can't be here today, from Libby Davies, from Peter Julian, Don Black, and Penny Pretty, and Alex Adamanenko in the East Kootenays, who's been very active with the war resistors in the Kootenays. This is a situation that we should not be in. Canadians were very clear about their feelings about the war in Iraq. Canadians know that it's an illegal war. And the Canadian government even refused to participate in that illegal war in Iraq. Now we've seen American war resistors, people of conscience, coming here because they refused to serve in that illegal war. They know the lie that it was predicated upon. One of the lies was the lie about weapons of mass destruction, which we know never existed. We know that those people who have come here saying that they can no longer serve in those armed forces in that war are people of conscience. And people of conscience should always be welcome in Canada. We know the incredible contribution that they can make to our country. We know that they deserve refuge when they're being persecuted for their beliefs. So they should have a welcome here. And we've seen it before. Canada did it during the Vietnam period, where we welcomed 100,000 people who left the United States because of their convictions about the war. And many of whom, over half of whom, stayed to be part of this country and contribute to our society. So Canadians want to have the courage of Canadian convictions when it comes to the war in Iraq. And supporting the war resistors in Canada is one way we can do that. Now we need a particular program to allow them to do that. That's why I've tabled in last Parliament and in this Parliament a motion in the House of Commons that would set up a particular program, a special program, to land American war resistors here in Canada when they've left the armed forces because they can no longer serve in that war. We need a special program. Now, unfortunately, the other parties haven't come on board or have been slow to move on that. I also tried moving that same motion at the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration, and twice it was voted down at that committee. Both times there were only 2 votes in support, mine and Andrew Talegdi, a Liberal member, a progressive Liberal member from Kitchener-Waterloo. Now recently, Olivia Chow, who's now on that committee on behalf of the NDP, has worked in concert with the war resisters support movement across the country to build support with other members on that committee. And just before Christmas, a motion was passed calling for a special program for American war resistors to be able to remain here in Canada. So that motion is now passed. I think it's been reported back to the House, and we could even have a vote in the House for concurrence in that. So I think we're set up to ask the House to express an opinion, but we need to move more members of the House to support that motion. We need to move Liberal and Bloc Québécois members in particular, because in the past they have not been willing to support that motion. So that's the work and the job in front of us now, is to make sure that we can find that support, particularly among Liberal and Bloc members. And the Conservatives, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to write off. They've been very clear from the get-go, that they will not support this movement. And when I asked the former Minister of Citizenship and Immigration at committee if he would support introducing a special program for American war resistors, the first time I've ever had a one-word answer from a minister in the committee, and that was just a single word, no. So we've got to really work hard on the Liberals and the Bloc. We have a majority in the House and in committees with just opposition members in this Parliament, and that's our opportunity. We also have to press on the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration to stop the deportation action against the current war resistors whose cases have been going through. And I've always been completely frustrated that information about the illegal war, the illegal nature of the war in Iraq, could not have been presented at their refugee hearings. I think that was a terrible injustice from the beginning. So I just want to let you know that I'm there to keep working on this. I'll keep presenting the petitions in the House, making statements in the House. We'll look for every opportunity and across party lines to get some kind of action in Parliament, and we'll still have to move the government to act on whatever action that is. So there's lots of work ahead of us, but I'm proud to stand in solidarity with men and women of conscience from the United States and all of you who are working for this justice and this measure of fairness. Thank you very much.
War resistors, welcome here! War resistors, welcome here! War resistors, welcome here! War resistors!
Thank you so much, Bill, for those words. And before I give you a few details about some of our supporters, I actually want to introduce two of them who are standing beside me and who will speak to you in a moment. From the newly formed Bellingham chapter of the Iraq Veterans Against the War, we have guests Evan Knappenberger and Ash Wilson here beside me. So the support of this campaign is not only across Canada, but now it is spread across the United States. And yesterday and today, Americans are also rallying in support of war resistors in Canada. Yesterday, there were demonstrations and presentations at Canadian consulates in cities across the United States, working with an organization called Courage to Resist and the Iraq Veterans Against the War, going to our Canadian consulates as Americans saying, let our American brothers and sisters stay in Canada. Please make that provision for them. And there are also rallies happening today in concurrence with ours in the United States. So this movement is truly international, and we hope that the combination of all of that support will bear fruit very soon. In Seattle, folks met with the Canadian consul, who was very friendly and gave encouraging words. So hopefully they will clearly communicate that back to this Conservative government, how broad the support is for this campaign. In addition, we have today a statement of support from a group of church communities. The United Church of Canada, the Canadian Friends Service Committee, also known as Quakers, and the Mennonite Central Committee came together to issue a statement today in support of U.S. war resistors, and they have been supporting this campaign all along. In addition, we've had labor unions supporting the campaign and other community groups, and so it's a very broad-based campaign that you can go back and talk to the people you know and ask them to help support this action that is not uncommon for Canadians to do, to provide refuge for folks who have a conscience, the kind of people that we want in our country.